we go. Okay, so I've started the recording, fair warning. The rest of this session will be recorded as well. And I'd like to welcome all of you to the March Virtual Quality Talk. As always, we'd like to thank D2L for letting us use their corporate Zoom account. And just a quick reminder of all the great people on the KWSQA board who work hard to bring you these events. Thank you, board members. If you're looking to stay in touch with what's going on with the KWSQA, a good option is to follow us on Twitter. We're at KWSQA, or you can also join our mailing list from our website. Looking ahead to the next couple of months, we've got the April and May speakers confirmed as well. So in April, we'll have Lavina come and talk to us about testing a data science model. And in May, we've got Ali coming to talk to us about how testers can help to drive continuous improvement. So I know I'm definitely looking forward to both of those talks, and I hope to see you there as well. Later on in the year, though, we still do have some slots available where we have not confirmed speakers yet. So if you have an idea for a talk, or if someone you know has an idea, I would encourage you to visit our website and submit our CFP form. It's always available. You can fill it out at any time, and we'll review your submissions and hopefully find a way to connect with you and get you onto our schedule. And finally, a reminder that our code of conduct for the KWSQA applies to our virtual events in the same way that it does in the in-person events. So everything on here still applies to the event that we're in right now. And as always, if you have any questions at all about the code of conduct, please feel free to get in touch. So that's it for an intro today. I'll let you get to the good part of the talk now. We're going to do presentation until, I don't know, 12:45 or 10:50, somewhere around there, at which point we'll open up to Q&A. And after this meeting, you'll receive a feedback survey, and we would love to get your feedback on how this event was for you, both logistically and the sign-up process, and just any feedback that you might have for our speaker. And speaking of our speaker, we're really excited to welcome Raj back to the KWSQA. He's come and presented at various events for us throughout the years, definitely a regular participant at our Targeting Quality conference, and we all look forward to the day when we can have an in-person Targeting Quality conference again. Actually, Raj was meant to be our keynote speaker at the Targeting Quality 2020, so we are happy to have him here now to present virtually, but looking forward to seeing you in person again someday soon-ish. But anyway, we appreciate all your support of our organization over the years, and today we're excited to hear sort of some career advice and how to find and thrive in your dream career, and would love to hear more about that from you now. So welcome, Raj.
Thanks, Tina. So let me share my screen and we'll get started here. So you should be able to see my screen now. Cool. First of all, I wanted to acknowledge KWSQA. I'm super excited to be here. You always have great speakers, great topics, and I'm so glad to be here and catch up with all of you just before this talk. So that was awesome. That being said, thanks everyone else who just joined in. I know it's probably lunchtime and you are having lunch while listening to this talk and also supporting me. So I really appreciate it. If you're feeling good, if you're feeling excited, put a smiley face in the chat window and then we'll get started. Awesome. Oh, my friend Eric is here as well. Nice. Awesome. So there's a lot of excitement here. So let's just get started. First thing first, I love stories. So let's set some context to this talk, how I came up with this talk and why the things I'm going to share today is really, really important for us to know, right? A little bit of background about me. So I grew up in the southern part of India from a place called Chennai. It's one of the five bigger cities in India, which kind of runs the economy as well, right? And from a young age, I had this inferiority complex that I wasn't good enough. I didn't matter. I was dumb. The reason was my dad, since he was born, he studied in scholarships, right? And then you have my brother who has 3 masters and a PhD. And then there I was, the average Raj, who didn't do well in anything. You name it. I was average in academic, sports, dating, right? And for people who grew up in an Asian community listening or watching this talk right now, you can relate to this. When you grow up, you're pretty much given 3 choices: doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So I went in the engineering path, and I was constantly compared to my brother and other overachievers around me, right? My cousins as well. And this constant comparison to other people made me want to work harder, and I wanted to live up to people's expectations. But the problem is, every time I tried to live up to people's expectations, I ended up getting disappointed because I could never live up to people's expectations because everyone had so many different ideas on what success actually means. So this constant trying to get other people notice me made me feel like an outcast. I developed fear of anxiety, fear of rejection. I even like talking to a girl would feel as if I'm going to get a nervous breakdown, right? So I was that type of person. So I was going through low self-esteem, high self-doubt, and severe body image issues. People used to ridicule me for my weight because I grew up as a huge kid, right? And now I'm 50 pounds lighter. But the point is, I was going through all these emotions throughout my childhood. Then during my second year of my undergrad, I had a trigger event. Not a lot of people know this, but yeah, if you had followed my blog post or read my book, you may hear the story. But I was in my study room, and all of a sudden my chest was pounding, and I thought I was getting a heart attack. But now I know it was my first severe panic attack. So I was sitting down, and then all of a sudden my eyes started tearing up, and I could feel the tears trickling down my cheeks. And then I was profusely crying for 2 hours because what was happening was that all these feelings of emotions that I was inferior to other people, I wasn't good enough, all these emotions which was built inside me kind of exploded. And the Pandora box of feelings opened up, right? And that's when I got this epiphany. All this while, I was letting other people's opinions be my reality. I was trying not to disappoint other people, but in the process, I was disappointing myself. And that's when I decided, you know what? Screw this. Screw everyone. I matter. I'm good enough. I'm going to strive for greatness. I'm going to carve my own identity. And that's when the whole transformation process started. Since then, this was about 20 years ago, I've tried so many different strategies and I've gone through so many different experiences which transformed my life from this guy you see in the picture into this guy, right? So your next question would be, how the hell did this transformation happen? So that's why we are here today. I'm going to tell you different strategies which I followed to transform my life from a shy introverted kid earning a minimum salary into an international keynote speaker, author, and tech career coach running a 6-figure business, right? And the kicker here is I am an average guy. If I can do it, so can you. And that's what we are here to learn today. I'm going to share some of my secrets, which are going to help you immediately. And of course, I'm always available to talk about them after the talk as well. Okay. A little bit about me. So I run my own company. It's called Chai Latte Consulting. I'm brown. My wife is white Caucasian. That's the name Chai Latte because I wanted something to represent ourselves. I'm a speaker, author, and tech career strategist. So I help people, specifically in the tech industry, to find their dream job and become successful leaders in the industry. I've been in the tech space for over 15 years now, and I help people in the mid to senior level positions to be successful in tech, right? I also speak and write for a number of companies, speak at a number of conferences. But yeah, you can find more information about me on my website as well, okay? So let's talk about today's agenda. I'm going to talk about how to find your dream career, or if at all something like that exists. So let's talk about that. Then we're going to talk about how to crack interviews, talk about a couple of things related to salary negotiation, and then how to be a rock star at work. And all these things which I'm going to talk about or discuss not only applies for people who are looking for jobs, but if you already have a job in your current company, you can still use some of these strategies to grow and advance in the career of your choosing. So let's start with how to find your dream career. There's so many different strategies to use to find what your ideal career is, but I'm going to share the top 3 which you can immediately use in your current life and then figure out whether you're working in the career which you like or whether you're applying for the right kind of job. The first thing is doing the mind dump exercise, right? This is the thing. Our careers are like Google Maps in a way. Say you're using Google Maps. Without even putting the destination address, it is hard to reach a particular destination. And then you cannot say Google Maps is not working properly. And our careers are the same way. If you don't know what career options map to your strengths, if you don't know what careers are going to give you joy, which is going to give you satisfaction, then there's no meaning in putting the effort. Because as Albert Einstein said, insanity is trying to do the same things again and again and expecting different results. So that is exactly true. So here's a simple exercise which anyone can do to figure out what your strengths are and what your ideal career options are. So just take a paper and pen, right? And to the middle of the paper, put a vertical line. On the left side of the paper, write down all the things you love to do. And on the right side of the paper, write down all the things you hate to do. And just this simple exercise is going to uncover a lot of things which are locked up in your mind. And now you're visually going to see all these things which are going to make sense to you. So say, for example, you write down that you like technical stuff and you like to be challenged. You like to have more authority and freedom over what you do. You hate processes, you hate being micromanaged, and you hate managing teams. Then maybe your ideal job is being a software developer at a startup company. So just writing down things about what you're passionate about, you're going to start finding different patterns in terms of what jobs apply to your strengths. And don't care about the weaknesses. I know your managers would say, let's work on your weakness. But don't do that because you already have strengths. Someone's weakness is someone's strengths. So focus on your strengths and let other people focus on the weaknesses. But this is what you need to do. It's a mind dump exercise. And just by doing this, you're going to uncover a lot of things about yourself, right? This is a very high level example based on my experience. So things I love to do is writing, speaking, mentoring, programming. Things I hate to do is admin tasks, website maintenance, customer support, anything related to sales and marketing. So I have employees who work for me. They do all that stuff. I don't have time and I don't have interest in doing those things. So I focus on my strengths while I let other people take care of the things I hate to do. That's your first step. So now you've written all the things which you like to do. And I would say go beyond your career because in this day and age, especially during this times of COVID, you're trying to manage work and life. So I would say write down all the things which comes in your mind in terms of what you want to achieve in 2021. What are the different things you want to do? Not only career related, could be personal stuff, wealth stuff, family stuff. Once you write all these things down, start labeling them as health, wealth, family, career. And once you do that, build this mind map under 5 buckets. And your whole life is going to revolve around these 5 buckets because in each of these buckets, you may have different goals you want to achieve. And for the purpose of conversation, say in your career bucket, you've identified that you want to become a QA manager, you want to take leadership courses, and you want to get promoted. All those things could be in your career bucket. In your personal bucket, it could be, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 6 months. Everyone talks about the COVID-19, the 19 pounds you've gained during COVID. So you can put all those stuff in the health bucket. Because this is the thing, you need to visualize your goals. And that's why research has found that by February, about 90% of the people fall off their New Year resolution because they don't have anything visual. They don't have steps to reach those goals. How many of you have decided, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym right now from January 1st? Then you buy all this fancy ass shoes and clothes, the gym membership. Okay, of course, right now you can't get a gym membership. It doesn't make sense. But in normal circumstances, if you get a gym membership, you go there for 2 weeks, and then you stop going slowly. And then by February, you go back to the same way you were to start with. If any of you can relate to it, put a smiley face on the chat window, because I'm pretty sure people have gone through this, right? Exactly. So the reason is we don't keep our goals visual. So that's why you need to have this mind map. And it may look something like this. These are all just sample examples. So say in the health goal, you may want to lose 10 pounds, want to do meditation. In your career, you want to give a conference talk, you may want to become a manager, whatever that may be. Start mapping them out, and then take a printout of this and stick it on the wall. And that's when you know visually, okay, what do you need to do? What are your goals? I know I'm talking outside even career, because I think being successful in a career, you need to also have a balance in personal life and your mental health as well. So that's why I'm covering the whole gambit of things you probably want to work on. So let's just go through a simple example. Say your goal is to lose 10 pounds. Once you identify the goal, you have to identify the tasks for each of those goals. So for example, working out 2 times a week, tracking your food daily, not having alcohol, or having alcohol only 2 times a week, whatever that may be. You identify the tasks for each of those goals. And then comes the most important part. Map them into your Google Calendar on a daily basis, because you need to know every day what are the routines you need to do. And here, if you see, you have workout, then you have reminders to track your food, you have reminders to eat salads. And this is actually a real life example from my life. On January 1st, 2016, I decided to lose 50 pounds. And in 6 months, I lost 50 pounds. That is because this is how I strategize my whole goal setting process. And following this approach, I've accomplished 90% of my goals in the past 4 years. So it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of mapping everything into your Google Calendar and then clearly mapping out the tasks you need to do. This is a picture which is not Photoshop. This was me January 1st, 2016. And then after mid 2016, I looked like that. So that's how I lost weight as well. So the strategy 1, which I was talking about, was do the mind dump exercise, because it's going to reveal a lot of things about you. Not only career focus, but it can also focus your goals on other buckets as well, right? The next thing you want to do is unleash the power of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the most underrated but high impact social network for professionals like us. Your next dream job, your next opportunity is waiting for you right there. And we need to tap into that power of LinkedIn. I've taken 5 courses on LinkedIn from the biggest LinkedIn influencers you see these days. So I really know what I'm talking about when it comes to LinkedIn. I'm going to share quickly some of the things you could do right now to stand out from the crowd. Because this is the thing. If 100 people are applying for the same job, why should they pick you compared to other people? If 10 people are applying for a promotion, why should they get you promoted compared to other people? That's where your LinkedIn profile and your branding comes into picture. We're going to talk more about personal brand in the upcoming segments, but let's talk about LinkedIn first. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your LinkedIn profile is updated. From your tagline to the about section, you need to put information on LinkedIn. Here's the reason why. Every information you put on LinkedIn is SEO and rich Google indexing information. So say, for example, a recruiter is searching for, say, a software developer. You need to make sure in your profile you use words like collaboration, Scrum, JavaScript, C#, team player, agile, framework. You need to mention all those things because these recruiters use AI-based software and then put in these keywords, and then the software starts going through LinkedIn profiles and start popping up people's names based on these keywords. That's why it's really important to update every section of your LinkedIn profile and use these keywords. You have to strategically, based on the job you want to apply for or the next job you want to get to, you need to put in those keywords in your LinkedIn profile. In fact, my last 4 jobs, which I've got, was from LinkedIn. It's been 9 years since I actually wrote a resume and submitted to whatever recruiting companies or job websites are there. That is the power of LinkedIn. So make sure your profile is updated. The next thing you want to do is tap into your own network. Say you're looking for the next job opportunity or you're looking for the next idea for your career and you want to talk to someone. A lot of people fail to realize that they already have people in their network. So tap into your own network. So if you go to your, say, for example, you're a software developer and you want to get a job at Google, go into your network and see who's already working at Google. The odds are you would probably be connected to another software developer at Google. Ask him or her saying, hey, what does it take to become a software developer? What does your daily job look like? What are the skills needed? Start that conversation. If you do not have a person from Google in your network, the next thing you could do is cold personalized messaging. What that means is if you go to LinkedIn in the search bar, just type in the word Google and click on enter. Then you're going to get all the people who work at Google. And when you click on people, that people tab, you can see other software developers in Google. Click on the one who you can relate to, find some commonalities. Maybe they went to the same university or they have same ideas or same interests in terms of AI, and then send them a personalized message, something like this, right? Hey, I see that you're working on this AI product. I believe my expertise in data engineering could help make your product better. Could we hop on a 15-minute call to discuss some of these ideas? And the key here is 15-minute call, not 60 minutes, not 1 hour, because people are more prone to talk to you when you say 15 minutes. But then if you do your research properly, that 15-minute call expands to 30 minutes, 60 minutes. You see what I'm saying? So this is a strategy where you have to have a personalized message, find something which is in common, and then invite them for a 15-minute call. And that, people, is the way you are going to find some of the opportunities. So I think it'd be great if people can mute your phone or audio. Thank you, appreciate it. So this is a strategy which not a lot of people use, but I personally have used it to get to all the positions I've been at, right? So just keep that in mind. The next thing is strategizing your job application process. So I came to the United States as an immigrant in 2008. And a week after I came, the recession started. Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest financial firms in the US, went bankrupt overnight, and that kind of triggered the whole recession. And getting jobs as an immigrant was really, really hard. And I was left with 2 choices. Either go back with half of my international students. I came to do my master's in software engineering, by the way. So half of them were international students and they decided to go back. Or the second option was do whatever it takes and see what I can get in the situation. Luckily, I chose the second option. And from the beginning of 2009 till end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs, 1,293 jobs. And I got 4 callbacks from it. And I got 1 internship from it, not a full-time job, internship. And then for 6 months, I worked my ass off to prove to people that I could do the job. And then one thing led to another. I'm here talking in front of you today. The moral of the story is when I was applying for the first 500 jobs, frankly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was in panic mode and just kept applying. And all of a sudden, I used to get a call saying, "Hey, we are calling from Bank of America. Let's talk about the job you applied for." Then I had no clue on what job I'd applied for in Bank of America, and I ended up talking about random jobs, and that screwed up a lot of my interview opportunities. This happened in the first 500 jobs. And then in the next 600 plus jobs, I started seeing patterns in terms of how I can strategize my job application process. That's when I came up with this Excel sheet. So whenever you're applying, make sure you start tracking, be analytical. So write down your company name, the job applied for, the date applied for, the exact job link, any comments if necessary. And if you get a call, immediately go to your Sheets app and then look at what job you applied for on the phone, and then immediately you know what job you applied for, and you can have more direct, pertinent conversation. So this is what people who are applying for jobs need to do. And again, all these templates can be downloaded from my website. I'll talk to you about how to download them towards the end, okay? I talk about more strategies as well on my blog, in my books, but this will get you started, okay? Let's talk about cracking interviews. So during my final year of my undergrad, it was campus recruitment season, and a lot of companies came to interview students. I was one of them, and I attended 22 interviews. And then finally in my 23rd interview, I was able to get a job. But the problem with the first 22 interviews was I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know the strategies on how to crack the interview code. Fast forwarding to 2021, I've attended 100 plus interviews, and I've conducted 100 plus interviews. And based on all those experiences, here are some key things to remember if you want to crack interviews. I don't have time to go over everything here, but remember, the first thing is you always want to research the company and the interviewers. Find some commonalities and use that as icebreaker conversations. That is the first thing you want to do. And I blog about the other things over here, but I'm going to touch upon the hook technique, which no one will teach you about. But this is how you can master any interview, no matter what interview you go to. So let's focus on the hook technique. And this is going to be really, really useful in your current job and your future job as well. So say, for example, an interviewer asks you this question: tell me about a situation where you had a big problem and you successfully solved it. That's the question. You could answer this in two ways. One way is you could say, a couple of years ago, I had a huge customer issue where our banking application kept crashing when customers tried to upgrade to the newer version of the app. And the way I was able to solve this was you go through the solution and then you stop. Or you can do this. You'll give the same reply, but then you continue the conversation saying something like, that is why they call me the therapist in the team. Whenever there are difficult conversations that need to be had, my manager used to call me to fix the issue, as I was a good listener and let people vent, then try to solve the problem with empathy. If you notice here, oh, sorry, I didn't actually advance the slide. So this is the second reply here, where I continue saying, that is why they call the therapist. So I use the keywords therapist, I use the keywords good listener, I use the keyword empathy, then I said difficult conversations. Then the interviewer is going to ask, they call you the therapist? That's your hook. So these are all hook words to make them ask you more questions on that so that you can highlight your strengths. Then I would say, yeah, they used to call me therapist because my manager used to send me wherever there were difficult conversations to happen and that had to happen, and I used to have them. See how he just asked the question, tell me about a big problem, but I started putting keywords and nuggets into his head or her head to ask me more and highlight my skill set. Then I would say, yeah, that's why I got star performer as well. What? You got the star performer? Yeah, in the past 6 out of 7 companies, I got the star performer. See how I'm taking the conversation slowly into the different hooks I'm laying? So when you are in a negotiation, when you want to get promoted, when you are having an interview conversation, make sure you start putting hooks to highlight the strengths. What I would do is make a list of all your strengths you want to highlight in the interview. No matter what the question is, you want to make sure you let people know and use these hooks, key words, which makes people ask you stuff. So that is the hook technique. And using this, I've cracked most of my interviews in the past, 8, 9 years, no matter what it is. I could go to a sales interview. I don't know anything about sales. I know something, but I could still crack the interview by using these keywords, right? It's all about how you deliver your message. So that's the hook technique, something to keep in mind. And of course, the other approaches are self-explanatory, which I showed in my previous slide, and you could think about that as well. Let's go to salary negotiation. And again, as and when you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat window. I want to give you as much value as possible in the short time I have. So that's why I'm going through a lot of stuff and sharing some key points which are going to help you out. So let's talk about salary negotiation. Research has found that more than half of the people, half of the population in this world do not negotiate their salaries. That is crazy, people, because this is the thing. A company is ready to give you the money. And if you don't ask for it, they're not going to give it to you. This is the question I ask people I coach and people I help, which is, would you be okay giving a random stranger walking on the road $10,000 of your own money? If the answer is no, then you have to negotiate your salary, because that's what you're doing. If you don't negotiate your salary, then that money is going to go to someone else. Do you want that to happen? The correct answer is no. So that's why you need to negotiate your salary. And the thing about salary negotiation is it's a win-win situation. People think that one party has to lose for the other person to win. No, it's about two people having a constructive conversation based on data and facts to arrive at something which is okay with both parties. You know your skill set, you have done your research, so you know what you deserve, and then you're going to package that in a way to let the other person know that you have these many experiences, you've already done your research, and the other person then starts thinking and you trying to come up with a number which is mutually agreeable. So that's why it's called a negotiation. It's not called confrontation. It's not called a fight. It's not called a battle. It's called negotiation. And using these strategies which you see on the screen, I've exponentially increased my salary by 150% in the last 10 years. I'm not exaggerating. And the clients who work with me, I've helped them increase their salary by 400%. That's because it's the way you project yourself and have that conversation. So let's talk about some key points here, which is going to help you in your current job and your future job. First things first, never ever reveal your current salary. So in the US, it's actually illegal, especially in California, it's illegal to ask a person, what is your current salary? But in spite of that, if people ask you, you never tell your current salary. You should say that, hey, based on my experience, this is what I'm expecting, right? And you have to always tell your salary expectations in ranges. So how do you arrive at the range? So I don't know what websites are there in Canada. I should have done my research, my bad. But in the US and other countries, if you go to PayScale or Glassdoor, and say, for example, you're applying for a senior quality engineer, type in senior quality engineer, and it's going to tell you what's the lowest, median, and the maximum salary you can get as a senior quality engineer. And then what you're going to do is start with the middle amount. So say, for example, you're supposed to get $60,000 to $80,000 for a senior quality engineer, right? And the minimum you should get is 60, the maximum you get is 80, and the middle is 70. When you negotiate, you should say, I am expecting $70,000 to $100,000. Add 15 to 20K to the max salary and say, I'm expecting $70,000 to $100,000. And while negotiating, what they're going to do is they're going to come somewhere in the middle, say 80. And that is the maximum salary to start with. See how when you actually tell the ranges and the data, you can bring them to the amount you want. So never tell the exact number, and always always negotiate on based on salary ranges. And also remember, money is not everything. If you negotiated on the salary and they cannot move further, talk about the perks, talk about your job title, negotiate on vacation days. In my two previous companies, I negotiated vacation days. Everyone got 2 weeks, but I got 3 weeks. And that 1 week extra vacation is actually extra salary because you're getting paid for sitting and watching Netflix from your house for 1 week. So it is actually, these are all ways you need to think about how you negotiate your salary. So make sure that you think really hard when you negotiate your salary, no matter where you are and whatever situation you are in, right? That is with salary negotiation. Um, the multiple offer rule is if you have another job offer, use that as a trump card for you to do negotiation. It's imagine like it's like buying a car. You go to showroom A, say they say the car is $10,000, and you go to showroom B and they say the car is $8,000, but you like showroom A better because of the customer experience. So what are you going to say, showroom A? What are you going to tell showroom A is, hey, I really love your car. I really love your customer experience. But showroom B is giving the same car for $8,000. What can you do to match it? Make them fight for you. You don't have to fight. So that's a multiple offer rule. So if you have other job offers, make people fight for you. And that's a salary negotiation tactic as well. Last but not the least, I want to talk about how to be a rock star. So again, I'm repeating this. I am an average guy, but the way I show up every day, the way I talk shows people that okay, I know my shit. I do know my shit, but the point is there are a lot of smarter people than me. Like Graham is smarter than me, and all the folks in KWSQA are smarter than me. But I show up ready, and the way I communicate things are different. And you can do this as well, and you could stand out from the crowd. And here are some quick strategies for you to stand out from the crowd. The first thing you want to do is build your personal brand. So what do I mean by that? Let's just dumb it down a little bit. Say you have your favorite body wash. I use Old Spice. So say I've been using Old Spice for 8 years. And the reason I'm buying the same brand of body wash is not just because of one single reason. It's not just because of the price. It's not just because of the color. It's not just because of the packaging. It's not just because of the way I can hold it. It's not just because the way it smells or the fragrance. It's because of all these factors which are packaged into that body wash, and it makes me want to go buy it again and again for 8 years. Our personal brand is the exact same thing. It's not because you have a master's. It's not just because you went to a conference and talked. It's not just because you blog, but it's about all the facets of you which builds your personal brand. And that's what we are talking about here. And some ways to build your personal brand is do the mind dump exercise first. We already talked in detail about it, to identify clearly what you want to do and where you want to go. Then identify the vision, goals, and tasks. We talked about that as well. Then grow your network. Use LinkedIn to grow your network, connect with people, post on LinkedIn, then engage with other people's comments. And that's when you become visible. And also at conferences, connect with people, attend events like this, what KWSQA did, and then look at the participants. You can do it right now. So go to the participant list. I don't know whether you can see the participant list, but if you can, get those names, put them on LinkedIn and see who they are and connect with them. And the same thing with meetups as well. In meetups, you can see the attendees of a particular meetup group. Take that name, plug that on LinkedIn, and then you can see who they are and start connecting and building your network. And that's how it's done, building a personal brand. And continuous learning. When 10 people are applying for the same job, what is going to make you stand out from other people? So if all 10 people have a master's in software engineering, but if you have taken extra courses, that is going to stand out from the crowd, and you're going to learn more things. So continuous learning is really, really important when it comes to building your brand. The next thing is underselling and overperforming. And again, as and when I'm talking, if you have questions, keep putting them in the chat window. I want to again give you as much value as possible in the given time frame. So I'm going one by one here. So next is underselling and overperforming. So the problem for majority of the people is when they're asked to build a calculator, they promise to build a rocket. And then when they deliver, they don't even deliver the calculator. They deliver a pen, right? Which is not even related, remotely related to what they actually asked in the first place. Because people oversell their skill sets and what they can do within a given time frame. That's where you need to undersell and overperform. Say, for example, you get a story, right? And I'm assuming most of the people who joined this talk are working in technology and maybe in agile environments. But if not, we usually do what is called stories where the requirements are written. So say you're getting a story and it's going to take you, say, 3 days to test it, right? Add a buffer saying, I'm going to take 4 days to test it. And then what you're going to do is within the first 2 days, try to finish your testing. And then in the next 2 days, try to do something extra, things which people have not thought about, and add value. And when within 3 to 4 days, when you finish testing, you can also talk about the extra things you did. And the more you keep doing it, the more you add your extra stamp, and go the extra mile, people start noticing you. So always undersell what you can do, but overperform. And that is the way to keep growing and make people notice you. Just keep that in mind. Next thing is telling compelling stories. So let's just do a quick exercise here. And I wanted to hit home this point with this example. So look at this house and tell me 3 things you notice in the house. You could just put that in the chat window. I'll give you about 30 seconds. This is not spot the difference question. Whatever you spot, whatever you see in the house within the first, this is not a test. Don't worry. I'm not going to torture people in the call. I do that after the call. So awesome. Yeah, it's big, nice Porsche, beautiful sky, lovely home garden. Yep. So that's awesome. So if you see the chat window, each person almost told different things within the first 30 seconds. Each person noted something different about the house, right? That is because we all build what is called mental models. So a mental model is a representation of someone's thought process of how something works. It's a concept, framework, or a worldview that someone develops in their mind based on their experience, based on their surroundings. So that's why each person has different interpretation of the exact same object, right? So what you see is my house, and I'm just kidding, this is not my house. I wish I had a house like this. But the point is, if you notice, some people would have noticed the color, some people have noticed the car which is hiding in the left side. Some people would have noticed the porch, like how they told in the chat, the windows, the trees. So people have different ways of interpreting the same information, the same thing. That's why it's really important to think about mental models, especially right now when you're working with distributed teams, working with different roles and responsibilities, right? So let's just take an example. Say you find a defect. The way you explain the defect to a person is going to differ based on the role. A developer, for example, would be interested in how the system is impacted and the technical aspect of the defect. A business person would be more interested in how the defect is impacting the customer. A project manager would be more interested in how the defect is going to affect project schedule. A release manager would be interested in how the defect is going to affect the release schedule. So the way you tell the story about the defect should vary based on the roles. That's why mental models are really important, and you need to know who you are talking to. Here's a good filtering system to tell a compelling story. What's the person interested in hearing? What level of technical or business detail is needed? How does this person look at the product? What can it tell to this person that he or she does not already know? And what do you think may go wrong? So if you put all your messages through this filtering system, then you can tell better stories. With that being said, let's talk about what's next and some bonus material. Remember, we all have two lives, and the second one starts when we realize we have only one. This from the great philosopher Confucius. And it's never too late to make a change, because we all have these limiting beliefs. For example, right now we think COVID is forcing us to do things, and it has trapped us. But the thing you need to keep in mind is, before we had the recession, before we had the SARS virus, before we had other things which happened. Because the truth of the matter is, life is a bitch. But the difference is, what are you going to do about it, right? You have to recognize it and then think about how you can grow in the given situation. As John Lennon said, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. That is something you want to keep in mind. And it all starts with first shifting your mindset. And this is what I tell people who I work with. If you feel you're worth $50,000, then the way you show up, the way you react, the way you speak is going to reflect a person who earns $50,000. But if you feel you're worth $200,000, then the way you show up, the way you react, the way you speak, the way you think is going to reflect a person worth $200,000. So it's about the way you are shifting your mindset from a place of scarcity to abundance. So always keep that in mind. Here are some bonus materials, and then we'll open it to Q&A. So the first thing is, if you're wondering where you could download some of the templates, like the mind dump template, the job strategy sheet, and stuff like that, you can go to this link and you can download all the free templates. I also have commonly asked interview questions, all those things in this link. So go check it out.